Welcome to the Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Virtual Church. My name is Wayne Johnson, and I'm glad we can get together, even though we can't be together. Today, our minister, the Reverend Jeff Briere, recounts a conversation he had with someone who wanted more information about humanism. To accompany the lighting of our chalice, I have a passage from Sarah York about the small things in life that often can go unnoticed. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and, renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. For music today, we are fortunate to have Chameleon Red for a performance of a song using your sense of reason to find your spiritual truth. This is Your Doubt Can Set You Free.
My mama told me a story. She said it was true. I asked her how she knew, and she said, I just do. You were given rules you must obey to walk the narrow way. Your heart kept under lock and key. Now you're feeling like your life is a lie. You're not supposed to ask why, but your doubt can set you free. So you study all the holy writ, you find that things don't fit. Towers fall, you're choking on debris. But when the dust begins to blow away, there will dawn a new day. Your doubt can set you free. All of your life you followed someone else's map, but it won't lead you out of this trap. Reigning over 10,000 years of chains and tears, the whims of the powers that be. They'll tell you that's the way it's always been, so just take it on the chin. But your doubt can set you free. Where will you go when you can't choose a destination? The journey may be your inspiration. When you let your conscience be your guide and keep your eyes open wide, your doubt can set you free. Your doubt can set you free. Your doubt can set you free.
We will sing Loving Kindness next. Please light a candle to dispel the darkness, to honor someone or some event, or to bring light to a memory.
May we be name is Jeff Briere, and I am the minister of this virtual church. I hope you are safe and well. Please remember to wear your mask in public and keep your distance from other people. Today, I bring you a conversation that I once had with a woman who wanted to know more about humanism. Her name is Helen, and she called me one day while I was preparing a sermon.
Jeff, I am all right with giving up Jesus and supernatural miracles, but if I embrace humanism, do I have to give up God as well?
Well, I really don't have a clear-cut answer for you, Helen. Unitarian Universalism is a non-creedal religion. We are not encouraged to give up anything. We can believe what is true, and we can leave behind what we find to be not useful. I can tell you one thing about humanism. Humanists are concerned with what is right in front of them, like life on Earth. The afterlife is kind of unpredictable, so they focus on the here and the now, what's real to them, and that would be what is human.
I have always understood religion as a belief in a supernatural power who is the creator and governor of the universe, like God or Allah.
And believers often gather themselves into systems like Christianity or Judaism. Other folks think of religion as a set of beliefs or values or practices based on the spiritual teachings of a leader like Buddhism or Sikhism. Humanism, on the other hand, is a system of thought and philosophy that centers on human beings and their values and their capacities and what they're worth. The dictionary does not use the word religion when defining humanism.
Jeff, I understand religion. I just don't understand humanism. How can there be a religion without a God?
Well, the dictionary suggests that there cannot be. But then, what about Buddhism and Taoism and Confucianism? They have no everlasting, omnipotent God. Surely Buddhism is a religion, wouldn't you say? One of the criticisms, though, that's leveled at humanists is that they redefine the word religion to suit themselves.
Redefining something to suit yourself is nothing new. Jackson Pollock redefined painting. Philip Glass redefined music.
Yes, and Philip Calder redefined sculpture. Here's the way I look at it. Humanists practice religion with a different aesthetic. Humanism looks like a duck to me, talks like a duck, and it walks like a duck. I think it's a duck.
Okay. Humanism is a religion. But these other religions have been around a long time. Humanism is a new thing.
Well, not really. The first humanists were ancient Greeks who rejected the superstitions of their time. The Italian Renaissance produced artists and writers who focused on this world and the human beings in it instead of heaven and hell. Humanism is really not so new.
But humanism has gotten a lot of press lately.
And it's been building steadily since the 1800s. That's when the congregational ministers of New England began to see themselves as Arminians. Jacob Arminius was a Dutchman who thought that humans had some part to play in their own destiny. Now, this idea that people could affect their own destiny ran counter to the accepted notion of God. At that time, supposedly, God knew everything. But if human beings could affect their own destiny, then they knew something that God did not. And that called into question the nature of God. For if God were not omniscient, maybe he wasn't omnipotent either.
It makes you question God's existence.
Or redefine God. The congregational ministers did not carry their thoughts to their logical conclusion all at once. Their ideas grew over time into what we today call humanism. Humanism began to grow because people began to be more political and less religious, more secular and scientific and less ecclesiastical. The horror of World War I drove many people to reject a God who controls the universe, for if that were true, how could God allow such misery? People thought that if God were in the driver's seat, well, he must be asleep at the wheel. And it has been observed that the more human beings understand about life in this world, the less they rely on supernatural intervention to get them through another day. Nowadays, there are very few phenomena which defy explanation. Human beings know an awful lot, can do an awful lot, and there is no stopping them. We predict the weather with reasonable accuracy. We understand how to make plants and animals grow better. We descended to the deepest part of the ocean, and we flew to the moon and came back safely. Human development also has a dark side. We are determined to be the masters of life and death, or so it seems. We can make a woman pregnant with a baby conceived in a test tube. We can grow a sheep in a petri dish. And it only takes 12 people to decide to kill a person. It is tempting to believe that we want to be God.
That's what humanism is? Human beings are God?
Well, that's what Tucker Carlson might say, but I don't buy it. My guess is that humanists understand God differently than their critics, just as Galileo understood the solar system a lot differently than the Pope.
How can we understand God differently?
Well, some humanists reject the concept of God altogether. Others only reject that guy with a long white beard who sits on his throne in a cloud. In any case, humanists reject revelation or transcendent knowledge from another reality. They stress reason and the scientific method. They're focused on the here and the now, and they take responsibility for their own lives. Now, Muslims, Jews, Christians, they accept some things on faith. Many humanists will accept nothing on faith. With my tongue firmly planted in my cheek, I call these folks flat earth humanists, because they accept only what can be determined, what can be proven, what can be demonstrated. I suspect that there are degrees of humanism. Just as there are Catholics who reject the virgin birth, there are probably humanists who believe they have a soul.
Well, I understand more about humanism now, but I feel like Peggy Lee when she sang, "Is that all there is?"
Humanism does require a lot of inner strength and self-confidence, and that is something that many people, other people, develop from their faith. As a humanist, there's no one to blame but yourself when things go wrong. No God to rail against when your spouse dies. No God to blame for pandemics. No God to ask for a new liver. No God to get the Vols into the Fiesta Bowl. Look, humanism is reasonable. No hocus pocus with death, no funny stuff with virgins, no submission to the will of an unseen Allah, no waiting for Godot. Everything is right here.
Everything is right here?
Well, sorta. I believe some things will never be explained. I think there will always be mysteries to solve, and that's as it should be, in my opinion. But what I think religious humanists do is engage in ritual community building practices. They support one another in their struggle to live out their dreams. In effect, they have separated traditional religious practice from traditional religious belief. They find strength in their community, as do we all. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So, is humanism a religion?
Religious humanists would say that it is. Others would not. It depends on what you mean by a religion. People make a religion out of Elvis, but they don't get 501c3 status. So you have to decide what religion means. The dictionary tells us that the word comes from Latin. Etymologists say it means to bind oneself to something. It also indicates a repetition, which suggests a ritual. So one definition of religion is that it's a practice that helps people reconnect with what is really, really important to them. A poetic definition from Forest Church is that religion is the human response to being alive and knowing that you will die. I believe that religious humanists are doing the best they can every day to be better people, to love life a little more, and to be more than a little human.
So is humanism a religion?
Does it matter?
I guess not. What matters is what you do with your life, how you live your life, not what you call it.
I think you're right, Helen.
Our benediction today comes from Nancy Schaefer. I've been looking for the words that come before words, the ones older than silence, the ones not mine, that can't be formed by thought, the ones that hold the beginning of the world and are never used up, which arrive loned and make me weep. Our time together is nearly finished, but our work is not done. May our spirits be renewed and resolve strengthened as we meet the challenges of the week to come. Please help me close this service now. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. My name is Ann Johnson, and I'm happy that you could join us today. Please come back whenever you like. We'll post another virtual church service next Sunday. Please contact the minister or the caring team if you or anyone you know needs help at this time. Our services are recorded in advance, so current events may move faster than our ability to address them in a timely fashion. However, you can find up-to-date information on local events, social justice issues, inspiration, and contact for all ages on our Facebook page. I hope to join you at our virtual coffee hour beginning at 11:30. You can find the link at HVUUC.org under the News and Events tab. To close our service, Wendy, Hearl, and Clouse bring us an Ani DiFranco song, What If No One Is Watching? What if no one's watching? What if when we're dead, we're just dead? What if it's just us down here? What if God ain't looking down? What if he's looking up instead? As you make your way through the week, remember, you are good. You are loved. We all need a little work. And we're all in this together. Nothing left to say but yay, church!
In my life were a movie, there would be a sunset and the camera would pan away, but the sky's just a little sister, tagging along beyond the buildings, trying to imitate their gray. Little boys are breaking bottles against the sidewalk, big boys too. The girls are hanging out at the candy store, pumping quarters into the phone, 'cause they don't want to go home. I think, what if no one's watching? What if when we're dead we are just dead? I mean, what if God ain't looking down? What if he's looking up instead? If my life were a movie, I would light a cigarette and the smoke would curl around my face. Everything I do would be interesting. I'd play the good guy in every scene, but I always feel I have to take a stand. There's always someone on hand to hate me for standing there. I mean, I always feel I have to open my mouth, and every time I do, I offend someone somewhere. But what if no one's watching? What if when we're dead we are just dead? I mean, what if there's no time to lose? What if there's things we gotta do, things that need to be said? You know I can't apologize for everything I know. You don't have to agree with me, but once you get me going, you'd better just let me go. I mean, we have to be able to criticize what we love, say what we have to say. If you're not trying to make something better, then as far as I can tell, you're just in the way. I mean, what if no one's watching? What if when we're dead we are just dead? I mean, what if it's just us down here? What if God is just an idea someone put in your head? What if no one's watching? What if no one's watching? What if my life were a movie? There would be a sunset and the camera would pan away. The sky is just a little sister, tagging along beyond the buildings, trying to imitate their gray. What if no one's watching? What if no one's watching? What if no one's watching? What if no one's watching?